Hello everybody and welcome back to the Moshix mainframe channel. This is Moshix. Just a few days ago I released this new GitHub repository called 3270 BBS on my Moshix GitHub, and what it is, it's a full release of my 3270 BBS. So it's a bulletin board for 3270 terminals, but not only, I'll get there in a second. And it allows people to connect with it with either real or emulated terminals and connect and create a community. Now, I've been showing this BBS here on my channel for the last 3-4 months. I've been working on it for about 7-8 months now. Quite a lot of code, and so I think it's now ready to release it to the community, and people can now start to create their own communities around 3270 BBS. And I'll just show you very quickly, before I'll show you the BBS, how it works and how you access it, but I'll just show you all the things you can do. Of course, it has topics for discussions. Users can send each other messages. There's a whole calendar applications. You can do your scheduling on calendar. Obviously, there is live chat. There's private chat, which is protected by a password that 2 or 3 or more users would have to exchange so that they can have a whole separate discussion. There's a marketplace where people can host and post and search for typically retro computing stuff. Then you can look up users. There's user management for administrators. There's all kinds of administration panels where you can manage the system, see what's going on, monitor it in real time. Session management. We'll get into how you set it up. So there's a database creation script. There's an FTP server so that people can upload notes. Notes is a way of people storing information, either by taking screenshots from, let's say, chat or from other areas, or just creating their own notes and then later posting them as topics. So you can actually FTP notes to yourself up or down with FTP. There's a whole web server where you can access notes, topics, and other stuff. There's a console so that you can see what's going on. There's an activity panel. Then there's some games, including Wordle in English, Italian, and German, which is quite popular actually. There's a TSO command line where you can do stuff. There's an extensive log along with a log viewer. You can connect either with encrypted, with a TLS, or non-encrypted. You can then we have recently just add the notion of doors from this BBS you can connect to other areas. There's a performance monitor and much more. Obviously there's also an editor in it so that you can edit content, quite an extensive editor, and much more. So how does this all look? This is how it looks. So once you logged in, and I'll show in the description below this video how you can log into my instance of this BBS. This is what we're looking at, but in this video we're going to discuss how you can set up your own bulletin board that other people can access. And when I'm saying bulletin board, very often people think like Mystic or other bulletin boards are extremely complicated to set up, very arcane. And in this video, I'll show you how you can set up your own bulletin board in about 3 to 4 to 5 minutes. So this is how it looks once you log in. Obviously, I'm an administrator, so I see more panels than normal users. I have some statistics here, and then I have some admin panels, but there is more that we will see. So obviously there is, in our BBS, it's been up and running for about 5-6 months now, so there's a lot of activity. Here you can see one user saying that Ernie Tech has his 3270 BBS almost up and running. Lots of activity, discussion groups. You can also see it's very performing, very fast. And that's because we're using Go language as the programming language, so it's not actually running inside the mainframe. It looks like it's mainframe, but it's actually all written in Go, about 44,000 lines of Go, and so people post stuff here, and like in this case it was actually me, and I'm announcing the 3270 BBS here just a few days ago. And we have color tagging, we have ways to center text in the editor, so there's a lot of functionality in here. And then we have, of course, you can search extensively, full text search. We have the marketplace where people can, even cars, as you can see here. And then very popular, there's the chat. And we have, this is an area that a lot of people always go first into. You go in here, looks like the SDSF of MVS and and ZOS. You go in here, you see who's logged in currently, who's been recently logged in, and then these are all the servers. So there's an FTP server, there's an SSH server. So yes, you can actually SSH into this application and do all the chatting and many other things through SSH for people who absolutely don't want to use a 3270 emulator. Then we have encrypted and non-encrypted listeners. We have a web server in it, and then we have the notion of a door. What's a door? So we have an extended menu here, and the extended menu you see here, option 4, we can go through to doors, and in doors you can either connect to our own MVS mainframe, which we have running here at the same site. So I have an MVS 3.8 running with a system and programmer who is taking care of it for us, and then thank you, Lee. And then we have also access from here to the VMSP release 5 that's running at SDF. There we have the very famous IBM profs running, so a separate group of people is taking care of that. And potentially here many more. So as soon as you guys start to, or people start to have your own 3270 BBS instances up and running, I'll be listing here more and more of those so people can go from one 32 BBS instance to the next. Of course, the first question you people are going to ask is it going to be federation? Yes, I already have the code for federation in place, so people will be able to send messages from one 3270 BBS instance to the next. I also have an identity server, so potentially we can only have, people would only have to register one account in one place and then use it on all the other 32 BBS optionally. Obviously, you don't have to do that. Then we have a performance monitor where we see how the system is performing, and we have, as I mentioned, Wordle with statistics. Then we have a stock quotron where you can look up for your financial data, and we have something that looks very much like an MVS console, which actually does work. You can start and stop stuff from there. And we have a screensaver. Why do we have a screensaver? Because I actually have a whole series of real iron IBM terminals, 3270 compatible terminals. So I have 3472, I have 3483, and other terminals. And those have real CRTs, and they would burn in if I just keep them running. So this is a way to keep track what's going on, how many people are online, but also change the screen very often so it doesn't burn in, which is also important for OLED screens. Less so than CRTs, but certainly also a problem there. Then, of course, we have the very popular also the auto refreshing time, the clock with which you can set to your own time zone, and lots more stuff. So as I mentioned, the calendar, we have, you can edit your own profile, obviously notes, that's what I mentioned before, you can create your own notes. So let's just see how the editor works. If I want to create YouTube test 1, and so now I'm going to say hello. I can use also a color tag, so I can say yellow, amazing people, and now I can center it or make it into a box. I can delete lines, amazing people, and then I can put it here in the middle with just one key press. So there's a whole series of things, and then I can say here red, how is it going? And now I can save it. And if from here I could now post it directly. So with F10, as you can see here, I could post it directly as a topic. So let's do it briefly. Well, let's not do it because I don't want to disturb other users. But so, and then it will render. So that's how in topics, for instance, that's how I change the colors here in different ways. So that's how this all works. So now I released all of this in my GitHub repository so that people can download this application and run it themselves. I have for now all the assets except the source code. I will release the source code soon. I'm just still doing some security audits. That's one reason. The other reason it's not here yet is that I have a bunch of Easter eggs, and I want the Easter eggs to be found before I release it into open source, because otherwise people will just go and look for the Easter eggs immediately. So in this video, let's see how you now can get this and start hosting your own BBS in either in a virtual private server somewhere. Oracle, I think, gives away virtual private servers for free, small ones, but that's all it needs. And let's look a little bit into resource consumption. So as you saw, it's very fast because it's actually all written in Go language, and it's very resilient. I've had it up and running for months on end. It never goes down. It doesn't crash. It's very simple to set up, but the nice thing about it is that I've had 50 concurrent users with only 25 megabytes of memory used for the application. That's megabytes. My browser tab here is right now probably using something like 10 to 15 gigabytes. And 150 concurrent users all logged in with only 64 megabytes of memory used. So it's extremely resource efficient, very fast, and I guess the two things go together. And it is heavily multi-threaded, so if you have more than one core, it will make very efficient use of that. But it's blazing fast even just with one core, and we have users who are doing that. All the data is stored in a SQLite database, so you don't have to get up your own Postgres or MySQL up and running, which nowadays it starts to become a chore to just keep it up and running. So there's nothing to it. So it's all the only prerequisites are you need SQLite installed on Linux. By the way, it runs on Linux, on ARM, on of course on Linux on the mainframe, on FreeBSD, Mac OS, and it would run on Windows, but Windows blocks the binary because of their own Windows security, the way they handle security. But it would run, and I have a version compiled for it, but I don't make it available because your Windows will complain if you try to install it because of Windows security settings. It's perfectly fine. I've had also an audit done of the code by an outside firm, so I passed the security audit. So let's get this up and running. What we need really is to just clone this repository. So let's do this. And let's go to my Linux machine. I have here a Linux laptop. It's actually a Microsoft Surface laptop, and we want to get it up and running. So first of all, you don't need to be root at all other than to just install SQLite. I don't think I have SQLite. Yeah, I don't have it running, so let's do this. So you install SQLite like this. You can see here I have kernel 6.4 running here, but any kernel for the last 10 years will do fine. Any Linux distribution like that will do fine. So okay, so we have now SQLite running, that's fine. And let's get the repository. Let's get it like this, git clone. Do we have it here? It didn't take. Okay. What's all the... So we just clone the repository. And now we can go into this. And we have all the important files we need to get this running, including the Wordle dictionaries for English, German, and Italian, because it's part of the because that's part of the of 32 BBS. 3270 BBS has a Wordle game in it. Now we have several scripts. One is to create the initial database. Then another one is if you want to add your own words into the dictionary, which we use for spell checking throughout the whole 3270 BBS. There's always spell checking in the chat, in the notes creation. Anywhere there's an editor, you always have syntax checking. Spell checking, and that relies on this dictionary. But if you want to add your own words, there's this little script that will allow you to add words to it, such as JCL in my case, Bend, COBOL, and all kind of stuff like that. Then there's a script to prune users. You can just say remove all users and then plus 90, which means all users have not been logging in for more than 90 days. Just to sometimes prune the database a little bit, even though the database grows very slowly. I've had now hundreds of users, and my BBS running for about, as I mentioned, 4 or 5 months, maybe almost 6 months, and it's still about 15 megabytes in size, with many dozens of topics and lots of content. It's still only about 13 megabytes. Then you can also import your own .ics calendar. If you take it from Google Calendar, for instance, you can download your ICS calendar and import it here. You say which user and then import it, and then you have it in your own BBS. Then one thing that I immediately do is I change the greeting. So here is where you want to greet new users. You want to add your own terms of service. I have a very simple one here. Say hello new user in green. And then in red, we show the terms of use, and then in green, just let's just say from YouTube, so we see it later. Okay. All right. So what is it that we need next? So the next thing we need is the actual binary, and we also need to write the configuration file. So let's do that. For the configuration file, let's start with that. I have a sample configuration file here, which you can just copy. So let's go through this quickly, so you see what's the important thing. This is the BBS name that you give to your own BBS. So let's say I call it my 3270 BBS. It can only be up to 10 characters, and you shouldn't have any blanks in there, so one word. Then this is the DNS name. So if you don't have a preset DNS reverse solvable name, then you can give here the DNS name where people can find you. So then you have a message of the day, which you can change now and then. And so if you change the message of the day, that's one of the things it will display when people log in. And here's now a very important part, the ports. So this is the port for non-encrypted traffic, as you can see here. And this is the port for TLS. If you use TLS, obviously you need certificates. Some people find that hard to do. I mean, there's no going to be big secrets in this BBS. I certainly encrypt. You can get your certificates from Google or from anywhere else. All you need is the CRT file, which is the actual certificate, as well as the private key. Make sure you don't show anybody this private key, obviously. Then we have a built-in web server in the BBS. So you can say here on what port, let's say 80. Then we have a built-in FTP server. So you can say here which ports it should use, and also the size of the limit of the nodes. So you're only going to be uploading to nodes or downloading from nodes, and 20 kilobytes is plenty for a node. Then you can say if you should start the FTP server at BBS startup time. You can stop it later again if you want, but if by default you should start it. And then also if you should start by default the proxy, which is the way to proxy to other mainframes, the doors, which I was just showing before, and the same for the built-in web server. If you should show the if you should start the built-in web server or not. And then we also have a built-in SSH server, and if you should start it, or yes or no by default, and then what port for the built-in SSH server. And again, you can start or stop them by default, and you can also then stop them or start them from inside the 3270 BBS. And here then you have a section where you configure all the remote mainframes you want to connect to. So SDF is a popular one. So you can connect to the SDF VMSP, the IBM VMSP mainframe with profs running on it. And then I have a whole bunch of other ones. So you just put in remote and then the number. You can have up to 15. And the name that it will show in the menu. And again, just to show you how this looks in the doors, let's go here, doors. And so the description is what will show here. And then the longer description will show here, and then the number is going to be given by the numbers you have. So the number is going to be given here, the short description, the long description, and then the address and the port. Very simple. So why don't we take this and put it into our nascent, brand new BBS. So it has to be called tsu.cnf. So TSU is the internal name of the application. So we'll put it in there. Okay. So it's all here, and I'm going to be using ports above 1024 because obviously I'm not root here. I'm just a normal user on this Linux machine, so I don't want to be using any ports below 1024, which you shouldn't do anyway. Do we start the TLS by default or not? So I'll show you all that. Okay, so we got everything configured, and now the last thing we need is the actual binary to run this all. So let's go get the link. Where is it? It's in the releases here on the same page. So you go to github.com/moshix/3270bbs, and then here you have releases. I already have a bunch of releases, and I'm running here on Linux on AMD 64. So let's take the link address and put it in here. Okay, it's only 22 megabytes. So everything around 3270 BBS is extremely resource efficient. You can run this on a computer with half a gigabyte. I mean, the whole Linux machine, half a gigabyte of RAM, and 10 gigabytes of disk, and it will do just fine. On this machine here, I don't even know how many cores I have. Okay, so I have 8 cores and 16 gigabytes of memory, which is way more than I need for this. Again, half a gigabyte of memory, 10 gigabytes for the Linux installation, and then you will still be able to run lots of other stuff on the side. And obviously, as I mentioned, you can also get this up and running on Mac OS or FreeBSD, on Linux on the mainframe, on Linux on ARM, on your Raspberry, obviously, and on any other operating system you like. So now let's see what we got here. Let's do an inventory. We have, number one, we have a TSU configuration file, which points to to 3270 for our non-encrypted port and 3271 for encrypted, and then all the other stuff. And then so that is done. We downloaded the binary, which is here. So let's rename it into move TSU Linux into just TSU. We call it just TSU. Why? Because the start script assumes that it's called TSU. That's just a fancy way to start it and restart it. So it assumes it's TSU. If you want to rename it into Mickey Mouse, then you just change the script and point it to Mickey Mouse. But I like to call it TSU. Now we need to create a database. There is a database creation script, this one. So that's the next one thing we need to run. So we say the creation of the database is extremely simple since we're using SQLite. So we just say create, and that's it. We could just created the database. The database will be shown here, tsu.db. So that's the whole SQL database. We can go, and I'll show you the schema. So there's several tables and indices. So this calendar, there is the topic notifications, notes, user activity, chat, marketplace, activity, messages. I'm sure there's a user, the way to like a topic or not, posts, topics, and users. So it's very simple actually. So there's not much to it. And so when we create when we create the database, it's populated with 2 users. So let's just do it again. You can run it as many times as you want. Okay, so, and now it creates 2 users, admin and no reply. The passwords are admin, admin, and no reply, no reply. Admin is the user that you can manage the system with. You can create other administrative users later if you want. And no reply is a special user that sends messages when new topics arrive or alerts and stuff like that, and users are not able to reply to because that's the only user that's blocked from receiving messages, so it doesn't fill up with messages. And you should change, or you need to change the passwords for both users when you first log in the first time. So let's do this. Let's go into screen and start the application. So I have here, so I have my database, I have the binary, I have the configuration script, and I have edited my greeting so that every new user gets a greeting when they first create an account. And so let's get it started with screen 327 BBS, and now we just started with start. And when we do that, oops, sorry. Oh, because we haven't marked it as executable, sorry. One step, which we forgot. Okay. So now when we launch it with start BBS, it starts. One thing it does is it checks if the system clock is synchronized with NTP, with the time servers at Cloudflare and others, and compares the skew. That's important once we start to federate our bulletin boards. And then it takes the name of your BBS here, and then you can see it's listening on port 3270 for connections. So it creates a key for the SSH server, since you said it should start an SSH server. So now let's keep this running, and let's log in to, I'm using here a terminal-based 3270 emulator. You can use Vista or anything else, but for the sake of it, let's just, for now, log in. Okay, so you can several things here. It took the name of the host name, so it's Surface. It knows the date, it knows the time in UTC, it knows we connected from a local machine, and it knows we're not on an encrypted terminal. And it took our name and says, welcome to my 3270, a 3270 bulletin board. So we log in for the first time with admin, and it already asks us to change some things. So let's say I'm in, I don't know, I'm in New York, USA, and I want to change my password, which you see down here, F5, admin, and now I make it YouTube, and save password. And now that I'm done, I can say main menu, and now we're in. So if I want to change my user again, I can go here to edit profile and change it again. So profile updated, and that's it. So now we have, see here that we also have another user, the no reply. We need to go and change it because the password is going to be no reply right now. So we can go here and say edit and say YouTube, and then New York and USA. Is it an admin? No. So we can make any user admin just by going here and saying yes. That's it. So be careful with that. And you can see the last login, never logged in, is an administrator or no. And so right now we have 2 users, 0 messages, 0 posts, 0 notes. And let's go first and go to notes with N and start creating a note. First note, and we call it yo, my very first note. Let's make it boxed. Okay, so we go here now. You can always go to the top line with F1, and you can go with F9 to the last row. And so that's our editor. We can also do a quick spell check with F2. No spelling errors. Okay, good. So F1, go top row and then save, and that's done. So we can see now we have our first note, and let's go set our time zone, which helps with a lot of stuff. Let's go here, and we can say preference or settings. So just P is enough, and let's browse. I'm going to be in I want to be in America. I don't want to be in Africa right now. So we have E for New York. Okay, so let's take that. My days start on Sunday. My default duration for meetings is 45 minutes. I start at 7 a.m. and then I have US for my for the national holidays, and I press F10 to save all that. Okay, so now it knows our time zone in New York, and it will display that. Obviously, there is no items in Marketplace yet. There is no search. Search will work, but there is no topic. So let's create our first topic. Welcome to my new BBS, folks. Okay. So exciting to have my own BBS. Your sysop, or whatever you want to call yourself. That's just no spelling errors, and that's it. So extremely simple to set up. I mean, we're already editing content, whereas with BBSs from back then, you would still be editing a lot of arcane settings that nobody understands exactly how it works. So there's really nothing to it. We have the activity. It's already up and running. So let's say we want to stop the SSH server. So we use MVS command. So we say p sshd, and that's it. Server stopped. Want to start it again? We say p start sshd, and it's now running. If you want to stop the TLS server, so we say p Okay, so now the TLS server is running since we don't have certificates. Let's Get Encrypted will give you free certificates if you want to do that. And now we have some other stuff. We have online users where we can see who is online right now and how long they've been online. So then we have auto refresh, so it keeps refreshing itself so we can see if anything changes. And then we have log. So in log we can also go into auto refresh mode, so you can see the end of log line turns red to signify that, and so we can see it automatically scrolls to the last line all the time. We also can see if there's any, let's say that user admin, I want to search for that. I can see, press F2 for search here, and it highlights where as the admin showed up for the first time. If I press it again, it will go to the previous one, admin logged in, etc., etc. Obviously all the TSO functions are here. We can send direct messages from one user to the next from here if another user was logged in. Then one thing that I want to show is a private chat. So for private chat, you would have to first exchange a key. So let's say I want to call my private chat secret chat. So now I can go in and I'm in a secret chat. If I had shared this password secret chat with another user, that user now will be able to also join me in this chat, which is separate from the general live chat here on that you see here, where everybody is kind of in the same room. So a private chat is almost like a room, but the room name is a secret. So make it something that other people won't be able to guess, obviously. Then let's go to the menu, to the extended menu. By the way, if you want to go, if you know what the extended menu thing is that you want to invoke, let's say the delta mon, the performance monitor, I don't have to go to M and then I can just do like m.p, like in MVS or ZOS, and it will automatically take me to the delta mon performance monitor. I can make it update faster or slower. I think 3 seconds is the most. It tells us relative to what we've seen historically if we're doing fine or not. So the CPU is busy with something right now, so that's it. We have the clock is here, we have Wordle, and we have a stock Quotron, which just obviously shows us what the IBM stock is doing. The stock market is closed right now, so that's from yesterday. We have a Forex table that shows us the latest Forex cross rates. And as I mentioned, we have some other stuff. Doors is here, obviously. So now from here, we could actually go to STF. I'm not going to show that here. If you want to come back, you press PA3, the PA3 key, and then it takes about 10 seconds to unnegotiate the connection. You have to have the patience. It can take anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds to properly close up everything and return you in an orderly fashion back to your BBS. And you should tell your users that. It does say it, but I found out that people sometimes are not able to start reading from the top left corner to the bottom right corner all the way through. So it says here very clearly, press PA3 key from remote host to return here and wait about 10 seconds for that to happen. So that is it. So we could now open up this port to the world, and they will be able to create their users and sign in. How do they create their users? Let's look into that briefly. So F5 registers a new user, right? So F5 username. The username is maximum 7 characters because that's compatible with MVS usernames. ZOS nowadays can have longer usernames for TSO, but 7 is what was acceptable for TSO. So I don't know, we call it YouTube, and then password is YouTube, and then I need to provide an email, and home city is I don't know, Anchorage, and then USA, and let's say I prefer metric for some strange reason. Passwords don't match. Okay. Okay, so now they match. And as you can see, I immediately have my first message. So I can go to messages now, and I can see that I have in color, hello new user, welcome on board, enjoy our community. The terms of use as you do bad stuff, you get banned. You CC from YouTube, which is something we just put in at the beginning of this video when we configured the tsu.greet file. So again, this is this file here, tsu.greet. That's what gets sent to every new user. So let's go back, and as you can see, this is still running here. So this will not keep on running forever, and you don't need to go here to see what's happening. You can always go, if you're an admin, you can go here, and then you would see F8 for log. But since this new user here, YouTube is not an administrator, it won't be able to see the log. But if we can go back in here again, and now we go to system activity, and we have now here, as you can see, F8 log, and we can see here now that users, admin, YouTube, etc. have logged in. So that's how you will maintain your BBS. Obviously, wherever you have a community, somehow biologically trolls automatically form. They naturally form wherever there's a community, and we already had some on my forum 3270 BBS, and they just come in and start to troll, and that's fine. And so if you're the sysop of your 3270 BBS, you should monitor the topics, you should monitor the posts. You can always go to topics. I can even change the color here. I can make it, let's say, I don't know, yellow, and it will now become yellow. I could edit it if there is some offensive words or anything. At one point I had an offensive word remover, but actually people like to have offensive words for some reason. So I removed the offensive word filter, but you can view it, and you can change it. So now, as you can see, now it shows up in yellow here. You can also go and change individual, with 9, you can change individual posts. So if there was already a reply to it, a post is a reply to a topic. So you can go and change them also here if there's offensive stuff or some annoying stuff in there. So you should do that. Now let's talk a little bit about how to back up your database. So obviously the BBS should be up and running all the time. To make a backup of your database, you don't need to actually shut it down. What you would do is, as you can see here, while the database is running, it has 3 files. The database files, which is the database address, and then there's a shared memory segment, and the write ahead logger. So that's kind of like with Oracle, the redo manager and all that stuff. So if you just make a copy of the tsu.tb, you may not be copying stuff that's in flight right now. So the best way is to use SQLite and db, and then do a dump into a backup file, and then you can easily restore it with a restore from the backup file, or you would have to copy all 3 files. So so if you do it this way, now we go to, we have now a backup, but now you would have to manage 3 files at the same time. So the best way would be to just do a dump with the SQLite command. So there's all the commands are here, and So you can see here, data only, new lines, no sys. So just just run this command and then dump it into a text file, and then you will be always within a split second be able to recreate it. As you can see, this is extremely small. Right now it's only 10 kilobytes, and this way you don't have to shut down your BBS to make hourly or daily backups. I make hourly backups and I mark them as hourly, and then I also have a daily backup. So I always have everything. So far I never lost any data. So, and then obviously the next step will be to go and advertise your BBS within your community, whether it's on social, maybe a Facebook page, whatever. And then the very last step will be to come and tell me about it so that I can create a door to your BBS. So, so that users will be able to go from my BBS to your BBS. And then if you create a door from your BBS back to mine, then users will be able to go from your BBS to my BBS. So that's it. There really is to it. So as you can see, I'll repeat the steps again. Adapt TSU grid to your own needs. Create TSU.cnf file. In most cases, you only have to change the ports. The name of your BBS, the DNS name, and the ports. That's what you have to do in most cases. If you want certificates, go get certificates, put them in here. And then get the latest version of the TSU downloadable from here. Where is it here? So get the latest version, the one that applies to you. Rename it to TSU. And then create the database with this script here. So create, and it will not let you create if one already exists, so just as a protection, but you run that. Then just log in to your BBS, change the admin and no reply passwords to something secure, and then start advertising your BBS. That's really all there is to it. Very simple. The configuration is really down to one file, and that's very easy to do. With any editor, you don't have to use VI. Some people use Joe. I don't know if I have Joe here. No, I don't even have Joe installed. I mean, VI or there's another one which starts with N. I don't remember it, but there's dozens or hundreds of editors in Linux. Same for Mac OS, same for FreeBSD, and then that's it. So there is all this. You don't need a Go compiler. I don't know if I have Go installed here. Yeah, I don't even have Go installed. So you don't need a Go compiler. You don't need anything. All you really need is the TSU binary, the configuration file, then create the database, change the greeting to your liking, log in, and start advertising your BBS. So just to show you how this looks in my BBS, so same exact version, by the way. Right now it's 27.4. I'll probably have more versions coming up. The message of the day shows up here, and people are able to SSH to the port that you define. So obviously if we have here, let's see what the SSH port is in this case. So yeah, so actually it is running right now. So we could try to log in. So just from a new screen sessions, let's go. We said 2022 admin. So you use the user that you have defined in 3270 BBS. Localhost, yes. YouTube was my password. Okay, so now we're also logged in by SSH. Sometimes you have diehard users who really don't want to go 3270 because it's too hard to install 3270 or something. I don't know. It isn't really, but so you can go to chat and now any user who's logged in also with 3270 on your BBS will see the same chat messages, is the same thing. And we can also browse topics. As you can see, it's the same topic we just looked at before. And log out. So those are the three things that you can do from SSH. Yes, I could add all the other functionality here as well, but I don't want to because it's a 3270 BBS, and I want people just to do the bare minimum SSH. Even I sometimes use the SSH if I'm traveling and I am on a mobile phone. I don't have a good way to work with 3270 from the cell phone or something, then I can use SSH. But other than that, all the rest of the functionality is going to be with a 3270 terminal. And just like that, you're now a sysop again with something that's modern, something that's blazing fast, easy to set up, and one more thing about 3270 BBS is that because it's a 3270 BBS, it's not like those other dozens of BBS where people go log in and once and they don't know what they're looking for and they never hear from them again. This is more for communities around mainframe related topics or retro computing related topics, and so I think it's there's more retention. And it also keeps away, because it's a 3270 BBS, it keeps away the kiddies, if you allow me to say that. So nothing wrong with kiddies, but we want to have people come to our BBSs who are committed to be members and contributors. So, by the way, you can also change the message of the day from TSO if you're an admin. So I can say hello now. And I go back, and now it's going to be like this. Obviously, if you restart the BBS, it's going to take the one from the configuration file. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can post them below this video, or just go to the repository and open up an issue there if you have an issue. So issues will only, if you have bugs, don't report them below this video, because I may not see them for weeks at a time, but go and report them here and under issues, and I'll be checking for issues there. And there's been a couple of issues, and I have usually closed them very quickly. So some BBS is already starting to come up, and if you want to be running your own BBS and make it up, get it up and running in 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, rewatch this video. If you need to stop it at times, stop it so you don't you can see what I'm doing exactly. I know I type fast, but that's about it. So if you like it, I hope you will press on the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing, and have a nice day. Thank you. Goodbye.